Hi, hope you're all well. Hope you've already done a little standing warm-up video before this. No worries if you haven't. We'll start with a little bit of cat to get moving. If you haven't done any of my videos before, please just be sensible, listen to how your body feels. Always say if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So if you're doing an exercise and it doesn't feel great, check your position, maybe make the movement smaller. If it still doesn't feel great, then just stop, come away from that and get in touch with me one way or another, and we can work out what's going wrong. If you just come across me on the YouTube site, then I have a website, susiemattypilates.com, and I'm on Facebook as well with Susie Matty Pilates and Rider Biomechanics. Okay, so I'm sorry I've had to shut the curtains to keep the sun out, which seems very sad, but hopefully you can see me. I think with the curtains open it's a bit tricky. Alright, we will get started. So, bring yourself into a position where you've got your wrists under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips. Have a breath in, and then when you're ready, breathing out, tuck the tailbone and round the back up towards the ceiling. Breathe in, lift the tailbone and lengthen back to neutral. So just really easy, focus on your breath, that breath out to round up, and that breath in to lengthen back to neutral. And just move slowly. Notice how you feel. Notice how you move. Maybe notice which parts of your back maybe move a little more easily and which are potentially a little bit stickier. Very generally speaking, it's the lower back that's a little bit reluctant to move in this position. So just make sure you're really giving the time to get the tailbone tucking underneath you and that lower back rounding. Check the arms are relaxed. Your shoulders are gently drawing away from your ears all of the time. I'm going for one more. And come back to neutral. I'll just do a few scapular isolations here. So thinking about your backbone staying in a nice straight line. You're just going to breathe out. Let the chest sink down so the shoulder blades come towards each other, and breathe in to float back up again. So keeping the lift through the tummy, just allowing those shoulder blades to come towards each other and then gently pushing them apart. Just check the top of your head is reaching forwards. And your shoulders are gently drawing away from your ears. Let's just go for two more. And come back up again. So we're going to come all the way down onto our fronts and do some breaststroke prep. I hope you're going to be able to hear me with my face in the floor. I have got a little microphone that's arrived, but I now need to get a cable because the one that I got doesn't fit quite right. It's all a learning curve, but we're getting there slowly. Okay, so come down onto your front. You might want a little head cushion for your forehead, or maybe just like a folded up towel might work quite well. And you're going to start with your arms by your sides. So just take a few breaths, breathing in, fill the body with air. And as you're breathing out, just let the body sink down into the mat. So maybe imagine that your body is made of wax. And your body's lovely and warm, and that wax is just starting to melt. And as you breathe in and then gently out, you melt a little bit further into the floor. Breathing in, filling the body with air,
breathing out, melting into the mat. Okay, so when you're ready, keep that feeling of melting into the floor, really relaxed and soft. And just gently find a feeling of drawing your lower tummy just a little bit away from the mat. So your position doesn't really change, you're just engaging through those deeper muscles so that we just keep the length through the lower back. If you find this position uncomfortable, what often helps is to put a cushion under the front of your hips. So do try that if you're not massively comfortable on your front. Okay, keeping that little draw of the lower tummy away from the mat, we're going to have a breath in, and as we breathe out, we're going to think about really widening through the shoulders. And then rolling the shoulder heads open, the arms just follow, so they come just away from the mat and the palms face your sides. We're going to hold here for an in-breath, and then breathe out, and let those shoulders melt back to the mat. So you're staying ever so heavy down into the mat with your body. Body is still melting into the floor. You just breathe out, widen across the shoulders, widening the collarbones, rolling the shoulders open. Hold for a breath in at the top. And breathe out to let those shoulders roll forwards and melt back into the mat. And again, breathe out, widen those shoulders out, roll them open. Hold for a breath in, and then breathe out to allow those shoulders back down. So what we want to feel is the muscles around the sort of lower half of those shoulder blades just gently working. We'd like the neck to stay relaxed, and we want the chest to stay heavy into the mat. So breathe out, widen out those shoulders, roll the shoulder heads open, let the arms follow. Hold for a breath in, and breathe out to let the shoulders relax back to the mat. So if you would like, we can add a little teeny float of the forehead away from the cushion, which is going to work the deeper neck muscles. So as you breathe out, widen the shoulders and roll them open. Think about the top of the head reaching towards the far wall and gently sliding your shoulder blades towards your back pockets. Hold for the breath in and breathe out to relax back down again. So the smaller this movement, the better. You're just floating your forehead only a centimetre or so up from your cushion. Still keeping your chest heavy into the mat. And really, it's the feeling of reaching the top of your head towards the far wall and sliding your shoulder blades gently towards your back pockets that produces a lengthening feeling through the back of the neck, and that facilitates a tiny float of the head up from the cushion. Let's just go for a few more like that. Breathing out, really widen across those shoulders, reach the top of the head forwards, hold for the in-breath, breathe out, gently back down. And relaxing back down again. Well done. So a little optional bit now, we're going to come into a little cobra. Now if you know your back does not like extension, then you just don't need to do this at all. If you want to keep it really small, bring your hands out so they're further in front of you. And you want to start by thinking about reaching the top of the head forwards, drawing your shoulder blades towards your back pockets. Actually, before you start, take your legs a bit wider and turn your toes out, which will help to keep your lower back longer. And think about plugging your pubic bone down into the mat. Breathing out, reaching the top of the head forward, sliding the shoulder blades towards the back pockets. Start to unpeel from the mat. Hold for a breath in at the top. Breathe out and peel back down again. So it might be tiny, that might be as far as you come. If you want to come a bit further, bring those arms back a little. Same again, breathe out, reach the top of the head forwards. Unpeel yourself from that mat, sliding the shoulder blades towards the back pockets. And then breathing out to peel back down again. So this should not give you any trouble into your lower back. If it does, just keep it small or don't do it at all, it doesn't matter. So just a couple more. Breathing out, drawing the shoulder blades down, reaching the top of the head up and away. Hold for a breath in, breathe out, gently come back down. Okay, bring those legs back together, pop the hands under the shoulders, push yourself up onto your knees, and we'll come back into our shell stretch. So just drop your tailbone back to your heels, take the knees a bit wider if you want more of a stretch into the hips, and let the chest come down towards the mat. And just breathe into the back of your rib cage. Walk the hands across to one side, staying nice and low, shoulders parallel to the floor. Breathe into that long side of the rib cage. So as you breathe in, you feel the ribs expand, and that increases the stretch on that long side a little. And as you breathe out, really relax. Walk the hands across to the other side, staying nice and low, shoulders parallel to the floor. Find that little bit of stretch into the long side and breathe into it. So again, just feeling those ribs expand, which increases the stretch a little bit as you breathe in, and then breathing out, really relax. And then come back through to the centre, walk those hands back up towards you, and we will come over onto our back. So we're going to start with a little bit of bridge. You might want one little head cushion, or more realistically, flat on the floor. As we peel up into the bridge, you don't want your chin jamming into your chest, so that's why we tend to have no head cushion, or just a very small one. Obviously, if your neck is such that coming flat on the mat is not comfortable, just a little head cushion or a folded towel is fine. Okay, so just find a bit of length through the back of your neck. Check your feet a hip width apart, and you want them relatively close towards your bottom, so you might be able to just feel those heels with your fingertips. Check you've got the shoulders drawing away from the ears, collarbones wide. We're going to start really small. We're going to do a little bit of prep work before we come into the actual bridge. So as you breathe out, think about those ribs sinking and sliding down towards the hips. Keep that feeling and roll your pelvis towards you. Just hold there for an in-breath, and then breathe out and release the pelvis away and release the ribs. And again, breathing out, sink and slide the ribs down towards the hips, roll the pelvis towards you. So you effectively shorten the distance between your bottom rib and the little bony hip points. Hold for your in-breath and breathe out to release back again. Let's go one more just like that. Sinking and sliding the ribs down, rolling the pelvis towards you, holding for an in-breath, and then breathing out to release back again. So we will start to peel up a little this time. So breathing out, sink the ribs, roll the pelvis, and then keep rolling that pelvis and see if you can start to peel just one or two of your backbones away from the mat. Hold for an in-breath and breathe out to release back down. Same again, get that slide and sink of the ribs, roll the pelvis towards you, peel maybe 3 or 4 little backbones up away from the mat. Hold for a breath in. Breathe out and lower each of those backbones back to the mat one at a time. And release to neutral. And again, sink the ribs, roll the pelvis and peel. Coming up a little bit further now, hold for the breath in at the top. Breathe out and peel back down again. So really take the time to notice how this feels. Notice how easy it is to get one little backbone to peel away from the mat at a time. And the same as you come back down. So if you've got a sort of sticky area, as always, take it a bit slower. Breathe into that movement. Just relax and give yourself a bit more time. So we'll just go for 2 more. Make sure you've got equal push into each heel, equal squeeze through both sides of your bottom. You can imagine there's a giant magnet pulling your knees out and away from you. Hold for the in-breath at the top and then melt back to the mat. See if you can get your waistband back to the mat before your bottom. Last one. Peel all the way back down, draw one knee in, draw the other knee in, and just have a little rock side to side. Just grab your head cushion back if you would like one. And just reset your position. You can let those feet come back to a more normal position. Oh, hi Nip. Nip really has got ants in his pants today. Hello. No, you can't join in. No, come on. Off you go. Go on, Stinky. Good lad. Okay. So, feet hip width apart, shoulders drawing away from the ears. Have a couple of deep breaths. As you breathe in, fill the body with air. As you breathe out, just sink down into the mat and relax. And then rolling the pelvis towards you as you breathe out. Rolling away as you breathe in. And hopefully that will feel nice and easy now that we've already worked into a little bit of bridge. And then just settle yourself into your nice neutral position. So if you're not sure, make the diamond with your hands, thumbs and your belly button, fingers down towards the legs. And just check that diamond is nice and level. You should have a little pocket of air under the middle of your lower back, rib cage nice and heavy into the mat. So we're going to start with single leg stretch today. Notice how your body feels before we start. See if you can maintain that nice feeling of relaxed heaviness into the floor. We're going to breathe out and just slide one leg away so it straightens. Breathe in and slide that leg back again. And then the other side. So just alternating legs. Breathing out to straighten and slide one leg away. Breathing in to slide back again. And just check what happens through your neck and your shoulders. We'll stick with that idea of melting wax today, so see if you can imagine your body as that just slightly melting wax, melting into the floor, really softening and sinking. And as you straighten that leg away and slide it back, you want to feel like you stay in that neutral position, rib cage stays nice and heavy down into the mat. You can think about just engaging gently through those deeper tummy muscles, the idea of drawing the little bony hip points at the front of the pelvis towards each other, or a big cold pebble on your lower tummy and just gently drawing away from that. It's only a low level contraction, only a low level effort, say 20 to 30% at the most. So just keeping that feeling of melting into the floor. Just a gentle draw of those little bony hip points towards each other. Okay, let's go one more each side. And then we're going to take this into level 1 scissors. I've got another idea for you to try out today. I want you to imagine that your leg is like a fishing rod. Your thigh is the fishing rod, and then the fishing line goes from your knee down to your foot and your ankle. So the handle of your fishing rod is right down here near your hip. And as you float your leg up, I want you to think about using the handle of that fishing rod to get that leg to float up, and then allowing it to lower back down from the handle. So this is your actual rod part, and you're thinking about using the handle to float that leg up, and then controlling the leg back down from the handle as well. So just notice how that feels when you use that imagery to achieve the movement. The idea is it's going to activate the right muscles while the rest of your body stays nice and relaxed. Just thinking about that fishing rod and using the handle to lift the leg, or float the leg up and control it back down again. With your body still melting into the mat, notice the shoulders have started to creep up a little bit, neck's getting a little bit tighter. You can always just gently look over one shoulder, look over the other. That's it, we'll go one more each side. So you might want to keep going with either of those two exercises. If you want to work a little bit harder, we're going to come up into double tabletop, and we're going to work through the next few levels of scissors. So breathing out, float one leg up. Keep that nice neutral position. Think about the rib cage connecting more down towards those hips. And then breathe out and float the second leg up. So again, notice what's going on through your head and neck. If you feel like your neck is working too hard, actually you can't really improve that situation, you might find that giving yourself a little bit more support allows your neck to relax more. So that's worth just having a little play around with. So when we're ready, we're going to breathe out, tap one set of toes on the floor, breathe in and come back up again. And then the other side. Keeping that rib cage really heavy, little teeny pocket there under the middle of your lower back. So this should not be uncomfortable. Well, you might feel your tummy muscles working, but it shouldn't be uncomfortable through your back. If you're struggling with this, come back to an easier level, or if you wish to, you can think about just gently flattening your back into the mat. But again, that should make things comfortable. If it doesn't make it comfortable, then come back a level and work with one of the easier exercises. If you're not sure, ping me a message, get in touch. So you're breathing out just to touch a set of toes down, breathing in to come back up. And we'll think about that fishing rod imagery again. So you're allowing your fishing rod to lower from the handle and floating it back up again. A little check, collarbones are wide, neck relaxed. You can think about your soft peach between your chin and your chest, and just gently keeping that soft peach there without squashing in, without letting him roll away. Okay, next time a set of toes touches the floor, pause, and then you're just going to switch the leg position. So one leg's floating up as the other comes down. And we'll just keep the toes relatively close to your bottom at the moment, thinking again about that fishing rod analogy, getting that movement coming from the handle of the fishing rod right down near your hip. Good. So this is level 3 scissors. The only difference between this and level 4 is your breathing. So in level 3, you're breathing out each time a set of toes touches the floor. Level 4, you're going to do two toe taps for each breath. So oh, yeah, that's not helpful. Out of the way, sausage. Good boy.
I did think about pushing them away, but they're far more entertaining than I am, so. Okay. So final variation of this is level 5 scissors, which is quite a jump. So only attempt if you're feeling fabulous this morning, nothing aches, nothing hurts, got no worries. So come into this double tabletop position. You are going to straighten one leg up towards the ceiling, reach the other leg away, and then you're basically going to switch those positions. You might need to bend a little through your knee if you need to, if your hamstrings are not that long. You will be keeping your back flat into the mat. Now, come up into your abdo prep. Hold on just gently around the back of one calf, and then switch. That's it. Now, if you can coordinate, you're going to add a little pulse. So you're gently pulling the one leg towards you, bouncing the other leg towards the floor. That's it. Staying nice and flat into the mat, keeping those ribs sliding down towards the hips. You can see my hamstring length is really bad this morning. Doesn't matter, just let that knee bend. We'll just go for 3 more each way. 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, and curl up into a little ball and die off. Well done if you gave that a go. If you feel like your neck works too hard in that, then just leave it out. It is a big jump from level 4. And you can see I still have some work to do on it. Okay, so I thought we'd do a little bit of side lying in this one. A little bit of clam and maybe some leg lifts. So when you're ready, come gently over onto one side. So you're going to set yourself up so your knees are bent, your shoulder, your hip and your heels are in one nice straight line. Grab your cushion, pop it between your shoulder and your ear and reach that bottom arm out. Now if your shoulder doesn't like this, grab a couple more cushions and bring that bottom arm out at right angles to you. But try and have that shoulder really underneath you so you can stack one above the other. Okay. So, we would like your top hip to be either slightly in front of or above your bottom hip. So I would always think that there's a little torch shining out of this top hip and its beam is just directed slightly downwards, okay? And then we want to feel like that hip is reaching away from you so that you get the length through the top and the bottom side of your waist. So you get a little lift of your waist away from the mat. Okay, so if you start off really collapsed, you're reaching that top hip away. So again, your pelvis is in a nice stacked position. You've got that length through the bottom side of your waist as well. And that just brings your backbone into a nice neutral position. If you imagine you're lying on your side, if you don't pull that top hip away, your backbone's going to kind of sink towards the floor. If you pull the top hip away, you get a nice straight line parallel to the mat. Okay, so keeping that lovely position, keeping your heels glued together, you're just going to breathe out and open one knee any amount. And then breathe in, let it come back down again. So just breathing out to open and breathing in to close. So if this feels a bit easy, just check that that top hip is staying in the position that it started in, keeping that length through both sides of the waist, your little mouse hole between your waist and the mat, and your little beam, little light beam shining out of that bony hip point is just staying pointing just down towards the floor a little bit. What you should feel are the muscles in the back pocket area of your bottom working. Now if you feel it in the front of your hip, you might want to try just straightening your legs out just a little, so you've got a wider angle at the front of the hip, and just see if that changes anything, keeping the lift through the tummy. Sometimes our hip flexors want to still keep working in this, and TFL as well wants to get involved, and we really want it to be kind of glute med and some other lateral rotators at the back of the hip into your bottom.
Just notice what's going on through the rest of your body. I tend to come to here, and actually that can put your shoulder in a little bit of a sort of tense position, so maybe just lying your arm along the top of the body. You can pop your hand on your bottom and actually feel those muscles working. So you might want to stay in this position, working level 1. If you want to work a little bit harder, pop the feet up into the air, and we'll go into level 2. Still keeping that reach through the top hip and the little gap between your waist and the mat. Still keeping your little light shining just down towards the floor. The other thing to note is whether your neck and head are nicely aligned with the rest of your backbone. Quite often you'll find your head and shoulder come forwards, so just check that you are in a nice straight line from the top of your head, tip of the tailbone. Okay, we'll go for 3, 2, and 1. Let those legs come down. Keep the bottom leg bent, straighten that top leg away. Really lengthen out through those toes. We're going to breathe out to float the leg up, and breathe in to come back down again. So if you can fling your leg way up into the sky, that's great. But you're only allowed to do that if you can keep the gap between your waist and the mat. Otherwise, keep it a bit smaller. Think more about lengthening through that leg to get the float. Good. Next time that leg floats up, we're going to do some little pulses. So just pulsing up and down. A little bit up and then releasing down. Keep reaching through those toes. I'm doing that with my arm again. That's it. Keep reaching through the toes. Just little pulses up and down, keeping the length through both sides of the waist. And then pause and take that into a little circle. If you're burning into those muscles in your bottom, have a little breather, just drop the knee forwards over the bottom one, and maybe just have a rest. We're nearly there. And then pause, take that circle in the other direction, still pointing through those toes, reaching along through the leg. Keep going with that circle and push your heel away. That's it. Change the direction of the circle, last few. Keeping nice and still and stable through those hips, or through the pelvis, just moving from the ball and socket joint at the hip. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and drop that top leg down over the bottom one. Give your bottom a good old pat and rub. Well done. Okay, we'll do the same on the other side. So just spin yourself over. So again, you're setting up shoulder, hip and heels, nice straight line, and making sure your neck is in line with the rest of your backbone as well. Okay, top hip slightly forwards, and then reach that top hip away so you get the lift of the waist up from the mat. Heels stay together, and then just breathe out to open that top knee, breathe in to come back down again. So again, you should feel this into the back pocket area of your bottom. If you feel it more at the front of the hip, you can try just opening the angle of the hip a little bit, taking your feet a little bit further away from you. So you just straighten through the legs ever so slightly. They're still bent, just not quite so much. This is one of those exercises where your setup makes such a big difference to what you feel. So if you're struggling, keep saying, do get in touch. Lovely to hear from you. All right. Just check you've still got that reach through the top hip. So you can keep working in this level 1 with those feet on the floor, or you can pop the feet up and we'll work into level 2. So you are welcome to pop your hand in front of you for a little bit of balance. If you do that, try not to push into the ground, just stay relaxed, maybe fingertip touch there. And just notice how this side feels compared to the other one. We're quite often a little bit different in any side lying exercises. We're often quite a bit different in everything we do, which is not abnormal. Never be perfectly symmetrical, but it's good to be as balanced as we can be. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and then let those feet come down. Lengthen the top leg away. We're going to breathe out to float up and breathe in to come down. Keeping that length through the leg, keeping the length through the waist. So again, you only take your leg as far up as you can maintain that gap between your waist and the floor. Keep reaching long through those toes. That's it, breathing out to float up, breathing in to come back down. Next time that leg floats up, we're going to go into little pulses. So set the leg at hip height and then just pulse up from there and back down. Oh, this side is hard work. So if those muscles are starting to tire, keep going with the breath. If you need to have a little breather, have a breather. We're not too far off this side. A little pulse up and down. 3, 2, 1, and we'll go into circles. Keep reaching long through that leg. And just check that your leg is in line with your body. It hasn't come forwards and it hasn't gone backwards. Pause, take those circles the other way. We're nearly there. If it's any consolation, my backside is on fire. Well done. And then push the heel away. Oh my goodness. And pause. Last few circles forwards. Nearly there. 3, 2, 1. Oh, and then drop that top leg down over the bottom one. And have a little stretch through there. Oh, goodness me. Right, let's come over and have a little stretch. So we'll stretch those muscles out first. So, knees bent. Take one ankle, cross it over the other knee. Make sure the toes on that foot are pulling towards your shin. And think about that knee reaching away from you. So that might be enough of a stretch. If you need to make it stronger, draw the second knee in towards your chest and just hold on to that. And just breathe into that stretch. Now you can play around with sliding your leg across so your knees come towards each other, and that will just change where you feel the stretch a little bit. So you could either have your ankle across your knee or slide that leg across so it's more sort of the side of your lower leg on your knee. If you've drawn that second knee in towards your chest, you're wanting to try and keep the length through your back, so not coming into a little ball, keeping the tailbone reaching for the floor so your back stays long and it isolates the stretch more into your hip and the muscles around the hip. Okay, now gently release that side. Change over, cross the other ankle over the other knee, toes pull towards the shin, knee reaches out and away. And then gently draw the other leg in if you want to. Oh, what a surprise, this second side's really tight. Okay, so notice how this side feels compared to the other one. Breathe into that, and again, if you want to, you can just slide the leg across so you bring the knees a bit closer together, and that just changes the bias of the stretch a bit. You're still trying to push that knee out and away from you. And again, keeping your back long on the mat so tailbone reaches for the floor, and that isolates the stretch into the hip rather than you just rounding your back. Gently release and just come into a little ball. Have a little rock side to side. And then we'll have a roll forwards and backwards and just roll up to sit. Or if that's not for you, you can just roll to one side, push yourself up. So we'll take one leg out straight, other knee out to the side. You want to sit up on top of those seat bones. Nice deep breath in to reach up. And a breath out just to come down towards that straight leg. Doesn't matter where you get to, doesn't matter if it's bent. Just finding a stretch into the back of that leg and possibly a little bit into the opposite side of your back as well. So if you feel more of a stretch around your hip on this side,
That's okay, it's just an indication that maybe you're a bit tight around that hip in this position. If it's really uncomfortable, you can always take that leg out to the side. Okay. And gently walk the hands back up. So keeping that one leg straight, bring the other knee up towards the ceiling and step that leg across. And you're going to wrap the opposite arm around that knee and grow nice and tall. So here you should get more stretch into those muscles that have just worked in the side lying exercises. And as you breathe in, just think about growing a little bit taller. And as you breathe out, maybe twist a little bit more. Switch those legs over, knee out to the side to start with. Nice deep breath in to reach up and a breath out to come down towards that straight leg. And again, doesn't matter where you get to. Just try and relax into the position, let the shoulders come away from your ears, bend the knee if you need to. Walk those hands back up, bring that knee up towards the ceiling, cross it over the other leg and then wrap the opposite arm around it. Your other hand goes behind you just to help you sit up tall, and we'll breathe in to grow a bit taller and breathe out to maybe twist a little bit more. Again, just finding that stretch into those bum muscles that have worked. Notice how this side feels compared to the other one. And then gently release back to the middle. We'll just bring the soles of the feet together, take the knees down towards the mat, and just growing tall again. As you breathe in and as you breathe out, just let those shoulders relax. So if this is a difficult position for you, you can always pop your hands behind you to help you sit up tall. Just see where you can get most comfortable. You can see I'm not really that bendy, sadly, but it's a lot better than it used to be. So just work with what you've got. See if you can improve on it a little bit. Okay, and then we'll bring those knees together, come over onto hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. You're going to roll back over the feet, come into that little crouch position. See if you can keep the hands on the mat. Take the hips back up towards the ceiling. And just stay here for a few breaths. See if you let the crown of the head hang towards the mat. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. And then when you're ready, you're going to bend the knees, drop the tailbone and unroll back up to stand. If I step backwards, you might just be able to see me. So we're going to finish as always, nice deep breath in, reach up, come up onto those toes if you want to. Breathing out to come back down, 2 more. Last one. Come back down again. Well done. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you're all still keeping well. And as always, any feedback is hugely appreciated, and I do massively appreciate all of your support. You've all been amazing. All right. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye. Oh, I'm not sure where my little remote's gone. Turn him off from the phone.